There we go. Alrighty, everyone. Hello and welcome to another Midlife Mojo Monday here at the 2 o'clock-ish hour. And I am so excited to be sharing with you. Sorry about last week not getting on. I had a last minute thing come up, but I decided just to take last week's topic and share with you today because I did a lot of research and I think it's important information to share with you. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Midlife Mojo Mondays, every single Monday I go live here in the Midlife Mojo group at 2 p.m. and just share some kind of education or a demonstration or bring on a guest to share something that I think would be of value to the midlife woman in just learning how to thrive in her health and well-being through these years. And this week, last week's topic it was called the Winter Wonderland of Food. And this week is about being a light for others. So if you've noticed, every Sunday I do a post that tells you the theme of the week. And then all the posts in the conversation are kind of loosely based around that theme. And so actually today's topic kind of ties in both of those. So it really is perfect. So when eating healthy, it is important to eat seasonal. Right. So we've talked about, I know that in the fall, I talked about the fall foods, and come spring and summer, I think I talked about the summer foods too. But each season I like to cover what's seasonal, what's healthy. And there's a number of reasons for that. Because when you eat seasonal, you're getting what food is fresh, what's available, hopefully locally in your area. And it also is more cost efficient. And each season we have foods that we just naturally turn to and crave, right? I mean, you kind of know that in the summertime, we tend to crave more cool foods. And then in the wintertime, we tend to crave foods that are more, soothing and warmth, right? Foods that support our body best. Our body knows best. So did you ever wonder, though, why we crave certain foods specifically in the wintertime? Like, even if you don't even live in a place where it gets cold, like here in Florida, right? It doesn't even matter that it's still 85 degrees. It's something about September, October, November that makes us all want to hunker down with some chili and pumpkin everything. So it doesn't really matter. But for the most of the world, those cooler temps, actually, there is an effect, right? There's fewer daylight hours, even here in Florida. And more time spent inside can have a real significant effect on when and how much, and even what we're hungry for. So there's the author. There's a great book called The Body Clock Diet. Look at her name, Laura Cipulo. She's a registered dietitian, and she writes that the winter months trigger biological changes that make us more inclined to eat more and more energy dense foods. So AKA like higher calorie foods or your more dense foods. And just think about what you're eating now. Is that those the foods that you tend to kind of go for more? If you're watching this on the replay or even you're watching live, let me know. Like, what are some foods like right around now, this time of year, you start to crave? Right? I'm definitely a big soup person. Like, I like literally like soup, soup, soup. That's like what I want for like every meal. I'm happy with all different versions. Although this year I've added some curries into the mix. I like those as well. Nice warm, thick curries. My husband made one the other night. That was delish. And there are also other factors in the wintertime that go into our cravings, right? Like there's a lot of food-focused holidays, right? We finished off Halloween and Thanksgiving. We're right now in the midst of Hanukkah. We've got Kwanzaa and Christmas and New Year's coming up. So we're not quite done yet, right? And then also this time, we got a whole other set of reasons why maybe we're craving some certain foods, right? With COVID-19, a lot of us have been home a lot more. Some of us are back on lockdown. People choosing just to stay home and not going out as much. So that can contribute to just different eating patterns we have. Yeah, Lisa, you like your soups too. Yeah, me too. Really, I think I could just live on soup. That's why I love this time of year. I pull out my crock pot, and I just love like on a Sunday just to make it, and then I got it all week long. But some researchers suspect that I'm going to read this because it's important. Some researchers suspect that cool weather may trigger an evolutionary response to fatten up, to toughen, to survive those tough environmental conditions, right? So think back, the time of the cavemen, right? That cold weather meant that they had to really fatten up and they had to, eat foods that would stick to them to keep warm during the winter, the way that many animals do, right? Same thing. And one study found that participants consume 86 more calories per day in the fall as compared with the spring. Now, they did say that wasn't enough to be really all that significant in terms of extra calories, in terms of weight gain, but just notable, right? Almost 100 calories more we tend to eat on a daily basis in the wintertime. And another theory is that the change of seasons may change the balance of our hormones that control our appetite and our hunger, like leptin and ghrelin and things like that. So different hormones can definitely affect the balance of our cravings and so forth. And I think probably as women who are in tune with our hormones, right, have nothing to do even with the hunger hormones, but our own hormonal system, like our estrogen and our progesterone, we kind of like know when things are a little off, right? On our period, we tend to, if you're still getting your period, you tend to crave more, foods and so forth, more high carb, high sugar foods. So hormones definitely come into play. And then fewer daylight hours, right? Just feels dark, right? Just feels like we should be like huddled up and like snuggled up and eating. And even here in Florida, it's funny, even though it's you walk out, I do this like every morning. I wake up like expecting it to be cold, right? And especially, and I walk outside, I'm like all bundled up, and then it's 75, 80. It's like always the same. Although we have been in a little bit of a cool front lately, but definitely, it still gets dark here around 6:37. I know not quite the 4 o'clock hour as some of you up north and in different parts of the country, but it definitely makes you want to just hunker down. And the truth is that sunlight, those reduced hours of daylight exposure, and then also just not going out as much, sunlight is one of those factors that trigger the release of serotonin. And serotonin is a neurotransmitter that helps our mood, right? So a lot of times people get that seasonal depression during the winter months because they're not out as much. They're not getting enough of that serotonin, enough of that vitamin D that the sun provides. And carbohydrates are another way of increasing our serotonin levels. So it's good for us is because they improve our mood. And so when we're feeling kind of down in the dumps, we kind of want that like little boost of sugar that's going to make us feel a little peppier and better. And so particularly people with seasonal depression who have lower serotonin levels and mood because of reduced exposure to sunlight, it's really important to be looking at what kind of foods that you're eating. It's amazing, right? How much our food interacts with our emotions and our physical well-being. It's important to note that a lot of wintertime overeating may be a result of the opportunity in our mindset, though, right? More than pure physiology. Cool weather just ushers in this like food-centric mentality, right? Beyond like the holidays, we've got, oh, well, it's the Super Bowl and it's this party and it's that, right? From Halloween all the way to like, New Year's, people just kind of look at it sometimes as a free-for-all in their eating. And then on like those days in between of the holidays and rights, it's just like we're spending all those more hours at home, maybe cooking. A lot of people are writing that they're cooking a lot of, cookies for different things or holiday traditional foods with their grandkids and so forth. And so when it's just something to kind of take note that of what you're doing and why you're doing it. So people tend to basically just mindlessly snack in the winter time. Would you agree? I mean, the window of opportunity kind of feels longer, right? Our days just feel so much longer. So what do you think? Do you feel that you tend to eat more in the winter months than in the summer months? Do you feel like you tend to eat heavier, more carb-laden foods in the winter months than maybe in the summer months? Just, let me know. I'm just curious. And then also people tend to also, right, the farmers markets aren't around as much. So if you were a big farmers market and like your fresh produce, a lot of those are closed during the winter time. So we're just kind of stuck with some, maybe not organic foods, number one, but also what tends to be available is heavier fare, like our more starchy root vegetables. So as opposed to our lighter vegetables. So let me see here. Foods to avoid in the winter time. So there are some foods that you definitely want to, I wouldn't say necessarily stay away from, but not focus on as much during the winter time hours. So number one is high sugar foods. So foods like our cakes and our breads and our beverages, our fruit juices, things like that, our Coca-Cola, all that kind of stuff. Foods high in sugar can make any illness worse, right? They are one of your body's worst enemies for causing inflammation in our body and decreasing our immune system, just weakening it altogether. So high sugar foods, check off that list, all right, for the winter time. And that kind of along with that goes our fried foods. Fried food is high in fats, which is also detrimental. So, we're also susceptible to illness during this time of year, and then adding COVID in there, right? So anything we can do to boost our immune system, reduce inflammation in our body, and avoid getting sick at all costs is really important. So high fat content leads to inflammation, but it also kind of produces excess mucus, right? So if you already have kind of got some sinus and some mucus extra going on, that can add some extra problems. And then there are foods rich in what's called histamines. So histamines is a compound made by the immune system that is responsible for like fighting unwanted substances like allergens, things that cause like more mucus as well and cause an inflammatory response. So things that you might not know, but histamine-dense foods include things like eggs, mushrooms, tomatoes, dried fruit, and yogurt. And all those are things that can increase, the production of mucus, causing problems. And I've seen this firsthand. It's amazing. So my son, I've been telling him, we did tests years ago, and I just know that a lot of foods cause a lot of issues for him. And he's 20, going to be 20 in a couple, and oh my goodness, like a week from today, I think, something like that. So I can't tell him what to do anymore. But I really have suggested him to get tested because he was saying that like he eats like 4 or 5 eggs every single morning, and without a doubt, within within minutes of eating those eggs, he is all congested, blowing his nose constantly. So finally, I was all on top of him for like months while he was home during COVID because it was driving me crazy. And he went back to school and decided to listen to mommy and cut out those eggs. And like overnight, all of that mucus production was gone. So definitely something to take note of, those histamine type foods to avoid. Dairy kind of goes along with it for the same kind of reasons. Milks and cheese increase the thickness of our mucus, which can cause greater congestion. And then things like coffee, energy drinks, sports drinks, and other kinds of drinks, all that contain caffeine. Caffeine, they all have like a diuretic, which increases the passing of urine and can increase dehydration, which can increase mucus and increase the dryness of our throat. So all these kind of things causing like breathing difficulties. So I know we all like our, warm coffee drinks and so forth during the winter, but just look that it may be causing you some difficulty. Because in the wintertime, we tend to be more or less, we tend to be less active, and we tend to drink a lot less. Like who wants like a tall glass of, cold, refreshing water when you're sitting there all bundled up freezing, right? And so we've got to find ways of, not skimping on our daily quota of liquids and getting them in other ways that can make us, feel comfort, but also can be providing hydration. Because oftentimes hunger is mistaken for thirst. So a lot of times that overeating in the winter comes because we're not getting enough liquids. So you can substitute if you're trying to get your water in. You can just have maybe warm water. If you're an essential oils person, I like to put a drop of thieves and 2 drops of lemon and a squirt of honey in there, raw honey, and have that. That's nice and soothing. Also, if you feel any kind of immune system support needed, but it also is just a nice way of kind of keeping the cravings away and getting your water intake in. Also, teas, unsweetened teas are good for that. Unsweetened decaffeinated teas. Same thing with coffee, decaffeinated coffee. And plus, researchers found at Yale University that things that are physically warm, such as like a hot shower or those warm drinks, make people feel actually happier and less lonely. So that goes along with that seasonal, this time of year, people, feeling a little depressed, feeling a little lonely, kind of wanting just to kind of play hide and don't seek in their home. So to satisfy both your body and your mind, seek out comfort foods that fill your belly, warm you up, and make you feel good, but are also good for you, right? And so there are a lot of them. So me and Lisa, we're talking about soup. right? You like our soup. It's a great way to get more fiber-filled vegetables into your winter diet because you can pretty much toss whatever you want in there. It's a good time. I like to use it when the vegetables are starting to go bad, just to throw everything into the pot with and make some vegetable soup. Greens, though, beans, lentils. Oh, I love like a dal. Using red lentils is yummy. Whole grains, veggies, anything like that. You can then add your lean proteins like chicken or shrimp to it. And in dinner, it's like a pinch, right? You stick it all in the crock pot. It's ready when you get home. You can freeze some of it and have it later on. It's so easy. So just make sure those soups can tend to also get fat, more fat friendly as well, and they don't need to be. So look up some healthy substitutes for creams and things like that. And if anybody's got an Instapot or a crock pot, definitely consider making a big pot on every Sunday. Some other foods, winter foods that are really good substitutions, if you're talking about fruit. So, well, most of the fruit in the wintertime isn't as good. Our citrus fruit actually is the time for it to shine. So grab some mandarin oranges. You can make a great citrus salad by using some dark leafy greens, like Swiss chard or chicory or kale to make a really yummy, nutritious winter salad. And when talking greens in the wintertime, you want to avoid the light green ones. You want to talk about more of the dark green ones, like the kale and the spinach. And avoid things like our celeries. Go for things like our cruciferous vegetables, like broccoli. Brussels sprouts are great ones. They're incredibly great for you, and I love just to roast them, just taking the broccoli, even the cauliflower, the Brussels sprouts, asparagus, and just pour in some either olive or coconut oil on it, sprinkling some garlic or onion powder on it, tossing it all together, and just roasting it for 10 to 15 minutes in the oven. I could seriously munch on that like all day long. Absolutely delicious. And then one more food to consider if you're looking for a protein is salmon. So nutrition experts agree that vitamin D is vital, especially due to, as I mentioned earlier, the limited daytime hours and the changing wavelengths of the sun's rays and the less time we're spending outdoors. Means we're not absorbing enough of the sun. We're not getting enough as we do during the warmer time. So vitamin D has shown to play a very crucial role in mood and how you feel, right? So we want to have foods that we can get our vitamin D from. So some top dietary sources are fatty fishes like our salmon, which also happens to be rich in omega-3s, which is another mood booster, as well as some maybe fortified dairy products. I'm not a huge dairy person, but if you are, get some of the fortified ones with vitamin D. And then if mood really becomes an issue, go ahead and get a supplement. Young Living came out with a Super D, vitamin D supplement that is really important, especially in the time of COVID, that everybody should be taking that personally. And I love that it tastes. I'm not a big pill person, and I love that the vitamin D pills, they're not, you don't have to swallow them, you just stick them under your tongue and they taste good and they dissolve. You can just swallow them down that way. So if you are going to give into a unhealthy craving this time of year, and I get it, I do all the time. Sometimes it's just you only get grandma's this at this time of year, or your friend made you a big batch of this, and you want it, you want it. It's like that time of year. So just make sure that you're watching your portions, and whenever you can, if you have control of what you're making, just find some healthy swaps. You can go online. There's a lot of different things that you can replace. The creams, the milks, the oils, the sugars in your recipes, and they taste just as good. I made a couple of just the other night for Hanukkah, and they didn't know. Everybody said they were delicious. So things about, also another substitution you can do this if you're looking, because at this time of year, a lot of people kind of crave like a big bowl of pasta, right? So look for some maybe gluten-free pastas, some quinoa, quinoa, they make pastas that are half quinoa, half corn. Make sure it's non-GMO corn, of course, though. But also Young Living has einkorn pasta, which we love in our household. And that feels so rich. And yet I feel like it's something that is good for me. And it kind of satisfies that craving and fills up that kind of comfort, food that I need. If you're looking maybe for chocolate, craving this time, maybe just like some dark hot chocolate warmed up, like that'll feel nice and good. Because dark chocolate itself is shown to reduce heart disease. You get that benefit of the dark chocolate, you get the warmth, you get the benefit of, they were saying, right, like Yale said, the warm foods improve our mood. So there is a lot that we can do this time of year to really help our ourselves physically and emotionally just by choosing right and choosing the right foods. So seasons and food have an effect on our body that, if we can listen to our natural rhythms, and that's always like affected, has really fascinated me, like how our body and nature just has these rhythms. And if we kind of follow along, take nature's lead, and what grows naturally in the summer are the foods we munch on, and what grows naturally in the winter is what we munch on. Take that lead. You have a pretty good menu to choose from right then and there. So I don't know if any of you had a chance to watch. I had a friend who did a 3-day workshop this past weekend all about this topic. But Ayurvedic medicine is something to look into. I'm going to have her on as a guest speaker soon to talk about really about this and choosing foods that are meant for your body and foods that are meant for the season for your body. So that is it. That's all I've got today to talk to you guys about on our Midlife Mojo Monday, just the winter wonderland of food. And I want you to tune in this Wednesday. I've got a live interview with a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, on my Women with Mojo show, and at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. So definitely look for that. And then we are right now in the middle. I think today is day 5 of the 8-day healthy holiday, healthy, I made a mouthful of this one, healthy, happy holiday Midlife Mojo giveaway. Every day I have been posting a contest with different, just little 5 or 6 little tasks, easy tasks to complete to enter for prizes. So all of those contests are open all the way through December 20th. So go back and look for them. Just, I think I did the hashtag capital MM and then small letters holiday giveaway. If you put that hashtag MM holiday giveaway in the Midlife Mojo search bar, you hopefully will be able to bring up all the contests. So definitely some great prizes. Just a great way to show support for some of the ladies here in the Midlife Mojo group. And just a little fun in your in the middle of the doldrum day to do. So make sure you take care of doing that and catching up. And what else? I will be making another announcement. I'm just finishing up. This is the last week of my Win at Weight Loss 6-week program, and it has been fabulous. 25 ladies have gone through it. Everybody has lost weight. I mean, their mindset, they are on fire. They are just feeling so good about themselves and what they have accomplished during this time of year when typically they would have put on a lot of weight, and are so looking to the new year to finishing this journey. So I'm going to be doing another kind of special for this group that I'm going to be launching again in January. So look for that. And I think that is it. So I will see you Wednesday night for Women with Mojo. And just as a little FYI and heads up, I'm going to be starting to slow down and take a little time off. Time off, whatever that means for me, but time off from my business as much as I can. And so I still will be around in the group here and there, but I am going to, just for the next couple of Mondays, they will be recordings of past Midlife Mojos I've done. And most of you probably haven't seen them. I've been doing Midlife Mojos every single Monday, I believe since October of 2018. So there are some good ones in there I haven't shared that. So definitely make sure to watch those. And that is it. You guys just have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I just, appreciate everyone and appreciate your support and all the good things that you are doing for you to find your midlife mojo.